Afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. This is Rob from First Session. We connect Canadians with the right mental health professional for them. Coming back at you this week with another Instagram Live. Really excited about our guest today. Going to pin that on the comment right here. I'm going to start off with a land acknowledgement before Tyler joins me. I acknowledge that the land I'm meeting on today is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. It is now home to many diverse First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 of the Mississaugas of the Credit. Looks like Tyler's joined us, so I'll wait to introduce him until he's jumped in here. Tyler.
How are you?
Well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well.
Thanks for joining. Happy Friday here.
Absolutely. Happy Friday is right.
How are you? Where are you based now? Where do you live?
Calgary, Alberta. I don't know if
Amazing.
have you been out here?
A couple times. Have not spent enough time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I like it a lot. The snow still hasn't hit, so I mean we're not able to go to the hill. I think Banff is actually opening this weekend, which is wild, but yeah, it's beautiful out here.
Awesome, man. I'm going to start with a super quick intro before we dive in here. So for anyone who doesn't know, probably any First Session followers out here, this is Tyler Smith. He's a survivor of the 2018 Humboldt Broncos crash. And Tyler has now become passionate about bringing awareness to mental health through his clothing line, Not Alone Co., and through speaking engagements and other things. Tyler, super excited to chat with you and super glad we can connect. So tell us a little bit more about what you're up to right now, why mental health in particular is important to you in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, you've gone through a lot in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, I think obviously mental health is at the forefront of a lot of people's lives right now. I think to be able to say that COVID was very challenging is very true. And I think it really kind of made people realize, including myself, that, I mean, it is really important to take care of yourself and to take care of yourself first, which is a big thing to be able to do. And for me, I mean, I neglected my mental health for so long, and that was so easy. And I know that, not just men, I mean, a lot of people do it. And it's so easy to get into that spiral, and it's so easy to kind of, put things on the back burner and suffer in silence and put that mask on. But for me, at least, everybody always told me sharing or writing is therapeutic, and I never really fully understood that and acknowledged that. But now that, I'm able to every once in a while speak out and share my story and share a little bit about what's going on with me, I've definitely realized that, wow, it is kind of neat to be able to share and hopefully make an impact. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people sometimes just need to hear something that resonates with them or connects with them or relates to them, or hear that perspective that they necessarily sometimes wouldn't fully understand or put into their life. So yeah, I mean, it's been quite a journey. I'm not saying it's been easy. I wish I could be the, fully positive person every day, but I mean, this life we live is good and bad, and there's going to be a lot in between. And so to be able to hopefully, make some sort of impact or be able to hopefully give some people some hope or inspiration or whatever it is, the classic light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I'm not doing this for me as much as it is obviously very therapeutic for me. It's a lot about the people around me, and it's a lot about giving back and being able to help people who just need to hear it every once in a while.
That's amazing, man. I love that. Yeah, you mentioned you neglected your mental health for that long. I see Torch Pro in the comments giving you love. I know that you do a podcast there. It's amazing. We've had Riley on here before, Riley Shea, and the other host with you. Yeah, just about I want to touch on neglecting your mental health. Like, what did it take for you to actually pay attention to it? What did it take for you to actually have it become a focus?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that really made me recognize that, I need to do something about it was the fact that the people around me could see it, and the people around me were being affected because I was struggling, and they could see that I was struggling, and they could read between the lines. And I mean, the people around me love and know me a lot, and I think at the end of the day, they want what's best for me. But I guess being able to facilitate that conversation, that really tough conversation, was unique. And I mean, I'm not. It was nobody's fault that I wasn't opening up. It was completely my fault that I was neglecting what was going on. But I mean, hearing the fact that the people who love and support me so much were starting to see it and starting to recognize it and starting to just want what's best for me in the way that I need to do something about it. They can only do so much. They can only check in so much. They can only ask the how are you question so much. But at the end of the day, when I started to see the hurt in other people's eyes because they knew I was hurt, then I started to be like, wow, I need to do something. And I think that was kind of the tipping point. And I'm really grateful for my billet mom back in Humboldt just for ultimately having that meaningful conversation and requiring and having that, I don't know, it's there's been so many things along the way. And I mean, there's been so many people that have really helped me along the way, but it really, I mean, the weeks and months and it just added up, and it just got to the point where, it has to happen. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it sounds like the billet host was a big part of that initial conversation. In terms of people who are maybe concerned about some of their friends or loved ones, but are like really reluctant to have that chat because they think that that's kind of overstepping their boundaries. What would you tell them as far as how might someone approach that conversation if one of their buddies or one of their friends seems to be struggling? How do you bring that up? How would they bring that up with someone?
Yeah, I've had this question quite a bit actually, and I wish, I mean, I had more of like an expert answer. I know for me, like, it's honestly just about creating that space and being able to create that environment and allowing that person to feel comfortable. And, I'm not saying that this needs to happen every single time. I always preach impactful conversations and, you got to open up and be vulnerable. But I mean, at the end of the day, every conversation you have doesn't have to be this crazy, meaningful, important conversations. But at the end of the day, these conversations need to happen. And I know for me, like, I learned something the other day that I wouldn't really normally kind of recognize is being a good listener. I never, that always gets overlooked and you never really think about that. But my buddy sent me a video on how much being a good listener can really dictate how much or how good that speaker is going to be. And I think that's something that you never really think about, like being able to create that environment as a listener will dictate how vulnerable that person's going to be. That really hit me. And it was just like, wow, I think you never think about that, how it, because I always thought, if I open up to somebody, I want them to give me the perfect advice. I want them to kind of give me something to do after, or something to, like set of guidelines that works for them. But it's not really necessarily about that. You can go to your therapist or you can go to somebody else for that expert advice. But, being able to create that environment and atmosphere where it's like, wow, like it's really just about allowing that person, that speaker, to feel comfortable enough to show emotion or allow these emotions to come out. And I mean, being a good listener, not interrupting and honestly just fully allowing that person to talk and be vulnerable and open up is tough. And it sucks to see your friends and your family hurting, but it's so beneficial because I can honestly say that so many of my relationships have really strengthened just because I've been able to bawl my eyes out hysterically around a campfire with a couple of my buddies. It's so weird that I would do that now. I never thought I would do that. I never wanted to be that person, at a party or get together that has to go off and cry because, whatever it is, but whatever situation you're in, whatever environment, I mean, I think it's really just about being able to initiate that. And it's not just the how are you, what's new, those surface level conversations, challenge your friends and family. I think that's something that is really valuable.
Yeah. No, it just got me thinking. I've been doing what I'm doing here with this company for like 3.5 years, maybe. But 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was playing professional hockey, whatever. Or not, sorry, not professional. Like whatever, competitive hockey. That's what I meant. Like being vulnerable at that age, let's say like teens and early 20s or whatever, trying to you know compete and, as you're every year, you're looking to basically make the team or make the next team or whatever, right? What kind of like what would you talk to people like? What would your advice be to people who are in their teens or in their like, early 20s who for lack of a better term would call this kind of conversation soft? I don't know if that's still happening these days. I'm right in the thick of the mental health conversation, but what about people who think it's soft to be crying?
I mean, you look at Carey Price and you look at Jonathan Drouin and Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka, and I think on my end of things, like that was a big thing for me to see my heroes and to see these athletes who I look up to being able to open up and be vulnerable and talk about the fact that even though you make $7 million a year, this is still life. There's still going to be some ups and downs, and there's still going to be a lot of bumps in the roads. And I mean, I think it happens to everybody. I mean, not even necessarily just if you're in the athlete world, whatever it is, but I mean, that shame and weakness is very apparent, and it's tough to get through and it's tough to break through that hurdle. But I think if you allow yourself to have that self-compassion, to give yourself that time and give yourself that space and allow yourself to take the time you need when you need it, whether you wake up and you're not feeling it. I mean, I'm not saying that every single day you have a bad day, you got to just completely drop everything, but I think there's little things throughout the day, and there's little habits that you can really start to input that will help you along the way and will help you build that stronger mental mindset. Whereas, if you're kind of just stagnant and you're going through the motions of things, then I mean, you get to those points where it's, oh, something's not going right. I'm not feeling so hot today, and you just can't get through it. And I mean, I was very much of that. I was very much just going through the motions and having surface level conversations and thinking it's a weakness and all that. But I mean, as you move on and as you allow that time and allow that emotion to come through, it feels so good. It honestly feels so good to cry. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've cried, whether I'm with a group of people or whether it's at the Humboldt home opener, and you feel good the next day. You feel like something is off your heart and off your chest and off your shoulders. And I didn't think that would be something that I long for, thinking, oh, okay, I need a good cry, I'm going to allow these tears to come out. Whereas if I'm with a group of people before, I mean, as soon as I feel something coming on, like, I'm pushing that away. I'm going to keep being that social butterfly, and I'm going to kind of put that mask on and keep going through. But I mean, now, especially for young athletes, I just did a speech to a junior A team, and it's a lot about being present, man. Like, I think it's so much about, being present in your conversations, being present in your day to day. And one of the kids even mentioned how, he writes in his journal just about what happens on the day to day for him. And I think that's so valuable, to be able to reflect on your day to day and be able to reflect. And I mean, I'm all for goal setting. I'm not a huge goal setter myself because I'm such a, take it as it comes, take it every day as it comes. But I mean, I think, there's a balance. I think being able to look towards the future and also just being present in your days and being present and being able to have that self-compassion within yourself to, do what's best for you and understand that this is your journey. This is your happiness, and you should be able to take care of yourself first and not feel shame for it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. I definitely believe in, taking care of yourself before you can take care of others. I know it's every day could be a health day for all people alike, but I guess November is Men's Health Month, and it's also November, which I see you're rocking a nice stash. I love it. I know you're raising money too. That's awesome. Like for the men out there, you mentioned just being present and feeling. Just like feeling things. I know for myself too, I've gone through times where I've been at funerals and like for some reason I can't feel like sad or something, and then later I'll like feel sad or something like that. And what would you tell other men who might, not even really feel like they're in touch with like how they actually feel? Like, you know what I mean? Like how if someone just is feeling like just blocked as far as, not able to feel much, like have you ever had conversations like that with other men?
Yeah, I think it's perfect, obviously, for November. But I mean, I have over these past couple of years really understood the difference between staying distracted and keeping busy. I think that was so easy for me before to stay distracted, you know, get in your iPhone holes and sit on Twitter, sit on Instagram and just swipe and swipe and swipe. And I think that was just a perfect way to neglect, but like not have too much mental capacity involved with that distraction. But now, I mean, it's a case of, okay, I can keep busy by, you know, working out. I can keep busy by whatever it is. And I mean, I think neglecting that is so easy, but even for me, like after the accident, I couldn't cry. And I thought to myself, what is wrong with me? Like I would sit there day in and day out and that's all I could think about, you know, and still all I can think about. But I mean, for me, I couldn't cry. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, what is going on? And it's because my mind was filled with so many other things and so many things at one time that I couldn't allow myself that one emotion to just come out. And I couldn't allow, and I had to come to those points where, you know, I've cried my, it's not something I'm necessarily proud of, but I've bawled my eyes out hysterically twice on national television. I mean, that's something that I never thought I'd be doing, but I mean, NHL awards and Humboldt home opener, like I couldn't even handle it. I couldn't even wait to get these emotions out because it was being bottled up for so long. And I think that obviously attributes to not having meaningful conversations and not really getting in touch with my feelings, you know, because it was so easy to be the, I'm okay, you know, I'm good, don't worry about me, you know, it's all good, you know, what's new with you, how are you? And I didn't want to drag anybody along, you know, I didn't want to pour my problems or my burdens or struggles on anybody else's plate because at that time I'm like, why would I do that? You know, these people don't understand what I'm going through. But it's not about comparing stories. It's not about comparing, you know, how big your loss was or how much your trauma was. You know, it's not about that. It's about finding a common ground and being able to find that place where you can connect and relate on something. And I mean, I literally remember that. I'll remember this till the day I die. I mean, I sat up with four of my friends and we literally just went from like each person and allowed that person to share their story. And I couldn't believe how much that I didn't know because, you know, it was a case of we didn't want to pour our burdens on anybody else's plate. But I mean, at the end of the day, we love each other. So why wouldn't we do that? You know, because we're here, you know, we're here. So why not take advantage of the fact that these people love and support you so much to be able to, you know, create that space. And wow, yeah, no, it's once again, I can just get back to the fact that it's so refreshing to, and I know that I felt like I needed to rush my healing for so long. You know, I wanted to be done. I thought that there was going to be a goal in place. And, you know, even one of my favorite quotes is, mental health isn't a battle to be won, it's a journey to continue walking. And I think, you know, for men at least, I can imagine that it's a goal. You know, when something bad happens or when there's trauma attached, it's about getting it out of your mindset and getting it out of your mental space as quick as possible. But it's not about that. You know, it's about being able to get to a place where you can embrace the fact that everybody is made up of struggle and strength. That's just normal. That's just the way life goes, unfortunately. And I wish it was more perfect, but it's just not. And so, yeah, I rambled on a bit there. Geez, my gosh.
I loved it. A lot of that hit me. I want to ask you about your company in a second, but I did want to touch on one thing you mentioned where people really, I mean, you know, I'm talking to therapists all the time and helping them connect with clients, and you know, a lot of people who even are like think therapy might not be for them because they downplay what they have experienced, right? And you must have had a lot of people come up to you. You must still have a lot of people come up to you that's like, holy shit, like you've been through everything, and like I'm, you know, struggling in this little small way, and like, you know, you've already kind of touched on that earlier, but like, what would you, you know, what have you learned about that? Like, you know, you've had this massive traumatic experience that's everyone knows about, and someone's over here, you know, struggling with something, you know, maybe relatively small in their minds, but maybe it's having a similar psychological effect. You know, how do you help people through that conversation?
Yeah, I think, I mean, first off, I've definitely learned along the way that you have to give everybody a chance. I think that at the end of the day is the biggest thing. I mean, you can see somebody sitting on a porch with a bouquet of flowers and you kind of instantly write this person off, but you just don't know. I mean, unfortunately, you just really don't know. And I mean, for everybody's personal sake, I mean, it's so easy to downplay your story and kind of what you went through, whether it's as minuscule, as small as possible. But I think I always preach and reiterate the fact that your story matters, you know, your struggles matter, you know, like this is a part of you, like this is a step in your journey. And obviously you can go the route where you downplay it and just let it bottle up and stick it on the back burner. But at the end of the day, I mean, once again, I come back to the fact that if you allow your story to be matter and you allow your voice to be heard, I think that you can make these small victories and make these small steps that you wouldn't normally recognize. And I mean, there's been so many things I've learned along the way, but I mean, compassion is a big thing. I mean, I did a speech for a Bantam hockey team, and the whole time, I mean, this kid was kind of looking down and completely checked out, and I wrote him off. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought that this kid didn't give a shit about what I was talking about. And I mean, I shit you not, probably 2 minutes after I stopped speaking, he sent me a message and he opened up, and I'm like, wow, you know, like that was like the biggest kick in the ass I needed, where it's like, you never really know. I mean, everyone has a story and everyone has a battle that you have no idea about unless you ask. And unless you're able to, you know, create that space and have these conversations that, I mean, 5 years ago, we would never be having. But I mean, it's not foreign now. It's not foreign now to be able to see a quote and walk home and have a conversation because you need to. I mean, it's so refreshing once again to just let it out. And yeah, I mean, there's so many things attached with that, but I'd always come back to the fact that, I mean, your story matters. I mean, like I said, as minuscule as it is, I mean, if you're surrounding yourself with the people who really care about and love you, I mean, they're not going to ever downplay your story as well.
I love it, man. So tell us about your company. How did it get started? Where is it at now? Where do you see it going? Where do you want it to go?
Oh man.
What is it?
Yeah, it's just Not Alone. I guess Not Alone Co. now, but at the time, I mean, I'm a big clothes person. I love my hoodies. I love my all that. So I thought it was. I knew the family who owned the embroidery shop in town where I'm from, and I thought it was a perfect opportunity to, you know, chuck some mental health quotes that I guess really resonated with me. And I mean, my first design was literally just slapping "Not Alone" and "It's okay to not be okay" on a sweater. And I mean, at the time, I never really invested into, okay, could this be more? You know, I just posted on Instagram one day, and I guess there was a little bit of, you know, questions that came of it. How do I get this? And little things like that. And then I started to acknowledge the fact that, wow, you know, like some people just need that simple reminder sometimes. And some people just need to be able to wear your vulnerability proudly. And I mean, I didn't want to have to, you know, dive behind a logo or people have to research, you know, what's this all about? You know, I didn't want that. I literally just wanted to slap some words and some phrases that really meant something to me and that were so simple that so many people could connect with. And I know, like, not alone. I mean, it's so easy to think that you're not alone in this, whatever fight whatever fight you're going through. I mean, it's hard because it's your fight and you always think that nobody will ever really understand, you know, but at the end of the day, I mean, people are struggling and people just need to be able to, you know, be together. And so I wanted to now try and create this community of, you know, I guess like-minded people, but ultimately I just wanted to create a community where conversations are okay to happen. You know, conversations are encouraged. And I wanted this, you know, these pieces of clothing to be able to help facilitate these conversations that wouldn't normally happen. And I've received messages about it and it's so refreshing, you know, whether it's, I saw somebody in the grocery store wearing it. I mean, and then you instantly go home and have these conversations that you wouldn't normally have with your friends and family. And I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, as soon as you see a quote, I mean, you reflect in that very moment. And I mean, I want these quotes to be impactful. I want these quotes to mean something. And I want these quotes to be so simple that you really don't have to, you know, dive through all the layers of it. You know, it's okay to not be okay, or whether it's courage or check in with your friends. I mean, those are simple quotes that really mean a lot. And so, I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, being able to donate obviously back to some mental health charities and foundations that have been close to me has been the main goal. And also the conversations. I mean, it's been so refreshing. And I think it also just reiterates the fact that, you know, everybody's going through something and everyone is fighting a battle that you have no idea about. So if I can help just one individual have that conversation that they once again normally wouldn't have with their, you know, their closest friend or their family member, whoever it is, I mean, I think that's the mission accomplished.
That's incredible. It sounds like you're igniting conversations left and right Sounds like you also, yeah, get a lot out of it, which I love that. I do as well. As far as the company and the clothing, are you pouring more energy into it? Where is it at right now?
All I know is the clothing industry is, I mean, if I wish I had a person that like literally just knocked on my door and be like, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. I mean, there's been a lot of learning curves along the way. And, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just going to kind of keep going with the, I guess the momentum. I mean, I just want to be able to hit as many people as possible. And I know that I wish I was able to just like get to a place where I could just hand these out. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's the clothing industry, and so to be able to hit as many people as possible and try and once again, facilitate these conversations, because I guess you never really know. I got a couple of hoodies, and you never know if I go out and somebody sees it. I wish I knew about every conversation that started, but I mean, you just don't know. There could be that one person that really needs to see that day, and it could uplift people in a way that, I mean, I really hope happens, but I guess once again, you really never know. So as for the end goal, I mean, once again, I'm not a huge goal setter or anything like that, but I just want to continue to once again hit more audiences and be able to donate more and more. So
Amazing, amazing. Where can people? So it sounds like you're doing speaking engagements. Where can people connect with you? What if someone wants you to come talk to their team or company or something like that?
oh wow. Yeah, like even just through Instagram, I have the website for Not Alone is just notaloneco.com. There's a little message board where you can reach out through that. But yeah, just through my Instagram, I guess is probably the best thing. I usually try to get back to as many people as possible, but I like to take breaks as well. So
Yeah, it's important for the mental health.
mhm.
Any closing words for the group here? And I definitely wanna connect. I'm gonna be sending you a message soon about some ideas here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, once again, I mean, I can't thank you enough for having me on and be able to, I'd never thought 3, 4, or 5 years ago that I would just have a conversation with, a stranger. I mean, we've never met, and to be able to have a meaningful conversation about, the world we live in, and I guess what's worked for me and what's worked for you along the way is huge. And I mean, I love what you're doing. I mean, what First Session's all about. So, mad props and much love to what you guys are doing. And let me know, obviously, if you ever need something from me. But yeah, I'd love to stay connected. And yeah, this was great.
Awesome, Tyler. Yeah, we're expanding into Alberta next year in
With you.
2022. Calgary is going to be our first stop, so I'll hit you up, and we're going to get some counselors and therapists, psychologists up in Alberta. So appreciate your time. You are super inspirational. Please keep it up. You moved me here, so I appreciate that. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, my man. Yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Okay, take care.